I don't know if I'm going to step outside of your camera range or not here. But anyway, how many of you are troublemakers? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, and for the rest of you, how many of you want I help bring billboards to different communities. And I don't just bring the billboards to different communities, but I get the different humanists, free thought, atheists, agnostics, secularists, bright, Pastafarian, skeptic, and other groups working together. Because you see, there are three things that put the fear of God into the other side. One is that we exist. Okay? I mean, just think. I mean, if you put a sign up that, on a billboard or on the side of a bus, and it just acknowledges our existence, that's shocking to think. Secondly, that we're outspoken about it. And third, that we're getting organized. We're getting organized with each other about it. And of course, the thing they really fear is primarily the thing we don't do, but the thing they really, really fear, and that is that we might be proselytizing. So when I was on the O'Reilly Factor, I was asked, well, are you trying to proselytize? You see, that was the scary thing. Are we trying to proselytize? And this was regarding a bus campaign that the American Humanist Association did. I was director of communications at that time, overseeing the PR aspects of this. And so we had these signs on the buses in Washington, D.C. that said, with a guy in a Santa suit shrugging, saying, why believe in a God? Just be good for goodness' sake. And that was considered so shocking that it got me on Bill O'Reilly's show. And Bill O'Reilly basically said, well, you know, the second part of your message is fine, it's just the first part I object to. Well, I bit my tongue and didn't say, yeah, but Bill, I wouldn't have been on your show, but for the first part. So you see, the very shocking idea that we speak out about our views, and then the fear that we might be proselytizing, really concerns them. And so I had to point out on some of the shows I went on, well, I don't think anyone is going to lose their religion over two sentences on a passing bus. Oh no, there goes my faith. And I said it that way on the radio. And the talk show host changed the subject. I think you have to realize that those Mormon missionaries who come to your door and knock on your door, and they spend 2 years of their lives devoted to this activity, do you know what their quota is? How many converts are supposed to get? Two in the 2-year period. Two. That's not a wise use of human resources. Okay, so yeah, they can get them to do it for free, and so that works out. You can do the math and see how that they would grow as a result of even that small amount of success. But really, for us, proselytizing is just a dumb idea. I mean, think about how long it took many of you to come to this viewpoint. I mean, come on. I'm often leery of people who tell me they're born-again atheists. I go, I don't know. Maybe you came at it too fast, and maybe you should slow down and think about it a little more. So, we don't do the quick conversion thing. We take a while. It's an odyssey. So, conversion just isn't our game. And besides that, there are millions of them. We have our hands full just getting folks to come around and join us. So our job is not to proselytize, to change people's mind, to convert people, to change them over. It is to just say to our own audience out there, hey, we're over here. That's all we need to do. The audience is there. They're waiting for us. And when one of these billboards goes up, when one of these bus campaigns starts up, we always hear somebody says, thank you. I thought I was alone. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for being there. And very often they'll join groups. So my job with the United Coalition of Reason, and the primary function of the United Coalition of Reason at this time, is to get various groups in local communities organized around a major publicity campaign. And that's because the mission of the United Coalition of Reason is to raise the public profile of all of the groups in the community of reason. It isn't to start a new group. It isn't to start some new level of hierarchy over the existing groups. It's just to create a rising tide that lifts all boats. And we want all of those boats to rise. We want student groups, we want non-student groups, we want atheist groups, humanist groups, Unitarian Universalist groups, ethical culture societies. We want all of the groups in the larger community of reason to work together. And so, one of the ways we do that is we make contact with them and say, look, I'll come to your town, meet with the leaders of each of the groups in a local area, and look, I'm not going to give you a big complicated philosophical argument as to why we should all get together, okay? Just let me buy you dinner, all right? Well, somehow that gets past all of the usual philosophical arguments that people raise for not getting together. Free dinner! Wow, okay. So I get the leaders together, I sit them down, and I say, look, here's what I can do for you. If you form a coalition, start working with each other, you can coordinate your calendars in a local community so all your meetings aren't held on the same day of the month so that people can go to many things. That you can get together with other leaders and start talking shop. In fact, sometimes when I hold these dinner meetings with the leaders, it's the first time they've met each other. And particularly with campus groups, the students of Campus A aren't in contact with the student leaders of Campus B. This will be the first time they've gotten together and met other student leaders in that community. So my job is to get them together and get them talking. I say, see how good this is? You're talking to each other. You're sharing ideas. You're sharing experiences, just like this conference here. That's a good idea in and of itself, but there's more. If you form an informal coalition, not some big fancy structure, but just an informal coalition, the United Coalition of Reason will provide you with free web hosting and a free web design template that you can use as your website for that coalition. You list all of the groups within the coalition on the website with links to each of the groups and a paragraph about each one, so people will have a common one-stop shopping place they can find the organization in the community of reason that's right for them. I mean, think about that for a minute. Many people join the wrong group. They want a good old-fashioned religion fashion, and they end up in a UU church. Okay, or they want a kind of warm, friendly community, and they end up in a strident atheist group. See, people get in the wrong groups, and then two things happen. One, they get bummed out and say, this whole community of reason thing is a lousy idea. Or two, they start causing trouble within the group they joined and try to change the mission of that group. You as leaders don't need that. Okay? So, it works for people to gravitate to the right group. And ever since, in 2004, those atheist books started coming out, mainstream publishers publishing them, all of these non-believers coming out of the woodwork, and then with the advent of easier ways to get groups going through the meetup idea that's on the internet and people forming meetup groups for all sorts of things, there has just been an incredible burgeoning of our kind of groups. The community of reason has just been growing at the local level. But so many of these groups don't know each other exists, or if they know each other exists, they're not talking to each other. So that's the first mission, get them together. So I get them together, I say, look, we'll get you a common website, but there's more. We will buy you a billboard or a bus campaign or an ad campaign to publicize the existence of your coalition so the traffic comes to that common website and then people start finding the group that's right for them. Why do we do this? Because we're just nice folks. That's why we do it. Look, if the Ford Foundation gives you a grant of money, right? They say, oh look, what we want to give you this money, we want to know what you're doing is worthwhile, and all we want you to do is say, this project was financed by the Ford Foundation. All right, that's all we want. Except you don't have to worry about handling money. Because you see, we'll just buy the billboard for you, we'll handle all the logistics, we'll take care of the graphic design work, we'll coordinate with you on all of that, and we'll bring that billboard or that bus campaign to your city, to your metro market area, and we'll help you find the right spot for that billboard, And we'll help you organize your website and all of that. That's what we're here to do. And all we want is a little credit for it, that you are affiliated with the United Coalition of Reason, because we have a national website in which we list all of the groups that are the local coalitions. Now, if you log on to our website right now, you'll only find that there are 4 coalitions listed, even though there are now 9. And the reason you'll only find 4 listed is because the other 5 are getting their websites and getting ready to get them set up and so on, and they're not fully online and ready to go live with their websites yet, so we can't link to them from our national website. But we've got 9 coalitions all over the country now established in the South, in the West, in the East, in the northern part of the United States. We're all over now. And we have a plan that we expect to have from 25 to 35 coalitions by year's end in cities all over the country. We're on track for that right now. We're developing them. We've got a big program and plan for doing that. All right, so we get groups together, we get them a website, we get them an ad campaign. Not only do we give a person a fish, we teach them to fish. In other words, some of the programs that you've been seeing here at this conference have been teaching you techniques for public relations and for publicity and for getting the word out and how to be effective with the media and so on. That's what I teach. I give a 2 to 4 hour seminar depending on the level of local interest, and I train local leaders and PR people how to do this stuff, how to be effective with the media, and also how to use the new online social media as well, because very often that's the easiest for you guys to use. Sometimes working with reporters and doing the whole press release thing may be a bit daunting. I teach you how to do all that and how to use letters to the editor effectively and all that. But moreover, I show you how you can use the social media to get your message out and reach more people. All right, so that's my primary role. And then once these coalitions are formed, they are able to do a wide range of things together. They can hold a common picnic in the summertime. They can, as Debbie Goddard pointed out, they can celebrate Blasphemy Day or Banned Books Week together. There's also Darwin Day, the National Day of Reason, Human Light, World Humanist Day. There are all kinds of opportunities for all of these groups to get together. And moreover, that when groups work together, they can often bring more people into play for a charitable activity. This happened with the Philadelphia Coalition of Reason. They put their billboard up, and then there was a religious billboard that also had fluffy white clouds and a blue sky, and they thought that our billboard was a mimic of their billboard. And so they complained, and their minister gave a big sermon about it. Well, it turned out that once I got the leader of the Philadelphia Coalition of Reason working with the leaders of that church, the two got together, they did a program to help the homeless together, and that made another news story. And because it was a coalition effort, they were able to get enough free thinkers out to equal the number of Christians who came out, and so we really made a big showing. So instead of just having, say, a group of 8 people go to New Orleans, you could have a whole ton of them now because you've got a coalition. You're drawing from a larger audience. And we're in a real sweet spot right now in time. Because you see, we are not so controversial that we are beyond the pale. So the media will cover us. And yet, we are just controversial enough that we are interesting. And so we put up a billboard that says, "Don't believe in God, you are not alone." A billboard that is totally non-offensive. It just calls out to our audience. And yet, people get all worked up over it. And we get news coverage, and people interview us. And the United Coalition of Reason was behind the billboard in Des Moines, Iowa. And of course, the bus company got all these complaints, and now they pulled the signs off the buses. Big bonanza for us. Big media opportunity. Now it's even more news. And when the American Humanist Association had the bus signs in Washington, D.C., Christian groups did counter bus campaigns with their messages, but every time the news media mentioned them, they mentioned us because they were answering us, which means we got more publicity. This is the sweet spot time. This is the time. It will pass. There'll come a time when being one of us is no big deal. I mean, remember when just being a transsexual got you on television and got you on a talk show? Okay? Now you have to be a transsexual with 5 different problems or they don't put you on television. So, you see, today we are interesting. Tomorrow, it will be no big deal. This is the time to strike. This is the time to get new members. This is the time to grow. And the United Coalition of Reason is here to help you make that happen. Thank you.
We got time for one question.
All right, and if you will turn to page 41 in your handbook, you will see a summary of everything that I just told you. And what you should do is go to your local group and use that for your talking points to discuss this with your group. Yes?
Where do you guys get all the money for the bus campaigns and billboards? Is the coalition independently wealthy?
Yes. Next question. I don't ask you who your donors are, don't you ask me who mine. I'm not after your donors. Yes.
Fred, where are the locations right now? What are all the cities?
Okay, try to rattle them off the top of my head.
Start with Boston.
Okay, what?
Start with Boston.
Okay, well, we're working on Boston. You know, we're working on New York City and all of these things, but we've got, you know, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Dallas, Fort Worth, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
Tucson.
you know, Phoenix, Arizona, Denver, Boulder, Colorado. Oh, let's see, trying to think now. Tulsa, Oklahoma is the one that just came on board. Trying to remember all 9 of them.
Are you working with the Bloomington, Indiana people
No,
also?
the American Humanist Association worked with the Bloomington, Indiana bus campaign. But the AHA worked with the one in Iowa that you've been hearing the latest news about. Anyway, but we're working on a number of cities. We're going to be doing Florida and California next because we've got a big book tour coming that's going to sweep across the country. Greg Epstein, the humanist chaplain at Harvard University, has written a book called Good Without God, and we're going to tie our billboard campaign next into his book tour. We're going to put the two together, going to bring even more news and media attention.
All right. Thank you very much, Fred.